Welcome to the Hero H.A.C.K.S edition of Boss Fight Live, everybody. I'm Meredith Franks. I lead marketing at Boss Fight. Nice to see everybody. I'm going to introduce tonight's panelists. So first up, we have Fred Aczon.
How you doing?
We also have Erik Aràna.
How y'all doing?
And we have Andrew Franks.
Hello.
All of these guys are partners at Boss Fight. You've seen them on several of our events before. And they are the team that's really been digging in and working hard on all the Hero H.A.C.K.S brands. So we are really excited to talk Hero H.A.C.K.S. We are about a week into our Hero H.A.C.K.S month. So if you guys haven't figured this out, August is Hero H.A.C.K.S month for Boss Fight. This week has been focused on Zorro, and we've had some amazing reveals. And we'll get into kind of what's coming up and talk about, more about Zorro as well. But first, I'd love to start talking about kind of the Hero H.A.C.K.S concept and how you guys came up with that and how it fits into the H.A.C.K.S universe. So maybe Erik, do you want to jump in and start?
Sure. We knew that there were a lot of old pulp comics and characters and stuff that we wanted to go after. So when the opportunity came up for us to talk to King Features and licensing works about Phantom and Flash and Tarzan and Zorro, we wanted them to be with H.A.C.K.S compatible. Even though they're not part of our Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S storyline, we wanted them to be H.A.C.K.S compatible because it's been a very successful style and engineering. So we kind of wanted to stick with it. So we kind of pulled the Vitruvian, which is kind of the name of our line, and replaced it with Hero, and kind of created an umbrella branding that we could kind of put in, anything that's H.A.C.K.S, but not necessarily Vitruvian, or we could kind of stick in these classic heroes and characters. That's it.
All right, and for some, I see a couple comments that they just found Boss Fight. Do you want to explain what H.A.C.K.S stands for?
H.A.C.K.S stands for Highly Articulated Character Kit System. And what that means is our figures are modular, so they can come apart and you can put them back together. You can swap all their parts around. A lot of their pieces, we're talking tonight right now about Zorro. So Zorro's the glove tops on his wrist are actually a separate piece. So if you pop his hands off, you can slide those off and you can put them on one of our other characters or other bodies. If you wanted flashing big gloves, you could do that. But so yeah, a lot of our parts, you can take them apart, you can put them back together, you can move their heads and their arms and their hands around. So that's the kind of the kit part. And then the highly articulated part is that our figures are very articulated for a 4-inch figure. And we've recently added with Hero H.A.C.K.S, we're kind of venturing into a new joint that Fred engineered with the ankle being on both a swivel and a rocker joint. It's been done before, but we've been playing with it and wanting to find a stronger version of it, because as oftentimes that's actually those 2 points torquing can be problematic at this scale. So we've kind of been playing with it for a little while. Well, Fred has been playing with it for a little while and trying to figure it out. And the samples that we got of Zorro so far and Flash have been very good, that we haven't had any breakages yet. So we're very happy with this new articulation point.
That's awesome. And Fred, do you want to kind of add a little bit of color, since that was your baby, and kind of how you brought that around?
Not really. It was when I was in China the first time around. The factory didn't want us to use insert molded articulation, so they proposed that kind of system, which is very prevalent in Revoltech uses them a lot.
Yeah, Revoltech uses them.
Yeah, but at that point, at the time, they were very small. They gave me the whole set, so I got right back home to the U.S. and started using them in customs. We always wanted that kind of movement for the ankles, and I thought it was a great way to bring it in and still be swappable with the old ankles that we had and still keeping the, newer articulation point this time around.
That was a good segue into talking about Zorro, since he is the first figure that's kind of using that new technology. Erik, the response to Zorro has been really amazing. Everybody's super excited. So do you want to talk a little bit about these first two characters that we've revealed and share a little bit more detail there?
The response has been fantastic to Zorro today over the last couple of days. Like, lots of sharing. We've done an amazing with our first couple of hours of pre-sale, and we're very happy with that. And thank you, everyone, for that. And the first two figures are very much a classic interpretation of Zorro. They're not based on any specific actor or anything like that. Our inspiration was really kind of digging into the books a little bit more and the original stories and novels rather than a Hollywood version of him. And we kind of took those and kind of created what everyone sees and thinks when they hear Zorro, and that's kind of what our goal was. It doesn't mean later on we won't touch on movies and stuff like that later on, but currently we wanted to get kind of a classic, this is what Zorro is out there. And of course we had just last year we had launched the Steeds line, the Mighty Steeds line, so we had the horse tooling and everything. We have the kind of premier figure is a single carded Hero H.A.C.K.S Zorro, and it's just a straight up Zorro. He's got his hat, he's got his cape, he's got a sash with a sheath for the blade, he's got a rapier, he's got a whip, and he comes with an extra head of Don Diego, so you can, swap it out and have him without the mask and stuff. It's a fantastic head likeness.
That Don Diego head is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really good. He's got kind of like this I know smile, and it's just kind of fun. And the version of Zorro that comes with the steed, with Tornado, his horse, he doesn't have the extra head, but he has the rapier and the whip, but the rapier has some gold accents on it now. His sash is red, and he's got these red stripes down his pants. We kind of decoed him up a little bit, gave him some nice color breaks and accents. And then the steed, Tornado, he's this, full-size steed with a saddle, and he's got the big, long, flowing mane and hair. He's just really, the combination of the two figures looks, the horse and the figure look really fantastic.
The steed figure has a different cape, too.
Oh yes, yeah. The version that comes with Tornado, thank you, he's got like a short cape that's soft PVC, like over his shoulders, and then underneath that he's gonna have a soft goods full length cape. So he's got a different cape, but the reason we did that is we wanted the soft goods cape so he could still ride the horse without the cape getting in the way. And then the kind of plastic like shoulder part of the cape kind of covers up the soft goods a little bit at the top, so you only kind of see the bottom of it.
We're getting a lot of questions about kind of getting more photos of the accessories and things like that. So there are still more photos coming.
Yes.
We are, finishing out Zorro week strong. So, definitely keep watching social media. You'll definitely see some of those accessories, et cetera, come up. So one question that we've been getting a lot on these figures, it's really hard in the photos to see because there's a lot of black, how much detail there really is there. So Fred, I know you spent a lot of time sculpting quite a bit of detail into the Zorro figures. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that detail comes through and what level fans can expect with that?
Probably the same level we've seen from our previous hacks. We try to cram as much detail in as possible in a 4-inch scale. So hopefully it shows, and it's just a matter of our other sculptor, Tony Talarigo, helped me in sculpting Zorro, and he did a pretty good job. And especially he did a great job doing the hair, which detail on that is tremendous. So
lots of in-hand surprises for fans that don't come through on the photography. So we're also getting a lot of questions on, when these figures are expected to ship. And we just dropped pre-orders today, but Erik, do you want to jump in and talk about the timeline here a little bit?
This timeline is a little closer than normal, which is great for, all our consumers and our fans, because we we're dropping the pre-order, and the photos that we're showing are actually pre-production painted samples. So we're almost ready to like pull the lever and, you know, run the entire production run. There's a couple of changes that need to be made, but beyond that, you know, the changes are very minimal, and they're just on deco at this point. Everything else is working fine. I actually took one apart, and I mixed all of its parts with our previous H.A.C.K.S figures to make sure everything was fitting correctly, and everything worked great. Like, you know, it's all the pieces fit together correctly, and you know, the like I said, the minor changes are just on deco, and it's going to be pretty fast for us to get these done. That does fast in toy terms, though, could mean 3 months. Like, our version of fast and slow is really skewed in the toy industry.
So we're also getting a lot of questions about what's next for Zorro. Do you want to talk a little bit about what might be coming in Wave 2?
I do. When we first signed with Zorro, with Licensing Works, you know, our plans were kind of just to stick with Zorro and his kind of very close cast of characters, and we will continue to do other characters from the books come Wave 3. But as Wave 2, we were very excited to find out that we had likeness rights to Mask of Zorro, starring Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. So Wave 2 will be Zorro, the Alejandro Mariatti version, played by Antonio Banderas, and Elena, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones. So we're very excited about Wave 2, because being able to move into the movies of any version of him is fantastic, because they're all so good. So,
and we're getting the question, are there any villains planned with the Zorro line?
There are. Wave 3 will probably bring some villains, as well as some another character from Zorro lore that I'm not at liberty to say just yet, but it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, we will be, you know, obviously, you know, Ramon and his soldiers and all of that, like, is on the table for us to do, and we would like to, and as, you know, as kind of is our boss fights kind of way, going back to that time period and doing like period accurate costumes and uniforms kind of fits into our kind of plan and how we do things. So it would, you know, Ramon wouldn't necessarily look like he does in the shows or the movies or anything like that. He would look like a real Spanish, you know, leader and Spanish military commander. So captain. I think he's a captain. I have too much information in my head to keep it all straight.
And I do want to make sure we get to some of the other brands. We can come back to some Zorro questions throughout, of course. But I want to switch over to Flash Gordon, which, if you are on our email list, we did share the order of the month and kind of what's happening, and Flash is coming up next week. So Andrew, I know we're kind of switching back and forth between the movie Flash and the comic Flash. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you're incorporating that and what people can expect to see next week?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the very cool things that our partners at King Features have enabled us to do is to have both the classic comic strip Flash Gordon and the 1980 Sam Jones movie Flash Gordon basically at the same time. It's been a really fun challenge to sort of put the line together with both of those toy boxes to play with. And so the first item, if you haven't already pre-ordered it, is a movie Flash Gordon in his t-shirt from the throne room where they first get to Mongo. And I actually have one. This is a factory sample right here. He's got his new Hero H.A.C.K.S stand. It's very cool. He's going to come packaged in a special collectible tin lunchbox, which, if you've gotten our Hacks or our Bucky lunchboxes, are really something special. We just slather them with really cool art, and make them a really nice piece to go in your display. And that's going to be the only way to get this T-shirt Flash is packed with that lunchbox. And it's got, the art on it is so great. It is, on one side, it is one of the classic movie posters. And then on all of the other sides, we had Erica Henderson, who was a comic artist. You might know her from Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. She did a ton of new movie Flash art, bunch of different characters and sort of set pieces. It is so cool. So please check that out and make sure you pre-order, because you don't want to miss out on this. Basically, what we're doing with Flash is we're switching off assortments. So the first item is a movie item. So then the first standard assortment of carded figures is comic strip figures. And that is a classic Flash Gordon, most notably based on some Al Williamson art. And then we have a classic Ming the Merciless based on some Alex Raymond art. And man, when we got these figures painted up, the colors are so punchy and so saturated. They are amazing. Ming is like purple and gold and red and yellow and green. It's amazing. So I'm really happy with how those are going. And then after that, it's going to be a movie assortment and then another comic assortment. So you can see the pattern, how that's going to go.
And I see a lot of people getting excited for the comic, and they want to see those photos, and we're going to share those next week, correct, Andrew?
Well, we definitely, so the first 4 carded figures, we did show off at Toy Fair. There are photos of them out there from back in February, when we could still go places. The second assortment is a tank top movie Flash from the like climactic scene with the sword and Ming, and then a Prince Baron in that really cool like woven green leather shirt. And then we have talked a little bit about the third assortment, and that one actually, it does break the pattern because it goes movie on that one, but it made sense the way we're working things. So the third assortment is movie Ming the Merciless in his black outfit from the execution. Then we've got the red gas mask guard guys. Then we've got Dale in the gold slave outfit. So those are looking fantastic.
And there are a couple pleas on here to ask if Clytus is coming.
Clytus is a very cool character. And I mean, come on, guys. Very cool, right?
So that sounds like a wait and see, but wink, wink, maybe?
Stay tuned.
All right. And we're also getting a lot of questions around the ETA for the lunchbox, because that pre-order has been open since Toy Fair.
Yep.
Do you want to give an update on where those are?
Yeah. So like I said, we've got factory samples all decoed up of the figures. So, and we also have samples of lunchbox, which I don't have one with me right now, but those are going really well. Similar to Zorro, those are going to be on an abbreviated sort of schedule versus some of the other stuff that'll come later. So those will be soon, the lunchbox and T-shirt Flash. Those will be not on the shipment that is about to go on the water to us, but it'll be the one after that. And those will be coming pretty quick right after each other. So it'll be soon, and more motivation to get in your pre-orders for the figure and lunchbox if you have it.
And somebody is asking if we have the rights to do a Freddie Mercury figure from the soundtrack.
We do not, but there is that great figure arts Freddie Mercury. So
Yeah.
Maybe put them on your shelves in such a way that the difference in scale doesn't.
Here's, I just found out an interesting factoid about the Flash Gordon movie was that Freddie Mercury designed the logo for the movie because he was a graphic designer.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
I didn't either until like the other day.
Keep the flash questions coming. Like I said, at the end, we'll circle back to as many questions as we can. I do also want to make sure we talk about Phantom, and I've started to see some people saying, where's Phantom? Where's Phantom? So that will be the third week of the month. So Erik, why don't we switch over to Phantom and talk a little bit about kind of the line, what you're planning. I know there's a lot of international appeal with Phantom. So how are you approaching this to get the full brand experience into these toys?
You know, we're kicking off the line with the 21st Phantom, which is the Phantom that everybody kind of knows, and the Julie Walker Phantom. So we're kind of kicking off with those two versions of Phantom, and those two versions both wear multiple color costumes depending on where they are in the world, in, you know, whether they wear red or blue, or sometimes like there's like olive green, and there's even one that's like orange, red, and green, and like there's all these crazy versions, because originally the Phantom comics were a newspaper strip, so they were always black and white, and then many years later they started reproducing these strips into books in other countries, and so on the cover would be where they were the first time people saw the Phantom in color. So, but they didn't know what colors they were. So back then in the you know, the 40s, they just kind of slapped a color on there that was very superhero-y. You know, as I said, we're kicking off the classic purple 21st Phantom, Kit Walker, and then we're kicking off with the Julie Walker in wave 1 as well. That's blue. We're also planning, you know, that there will be a Phantom with Hero, his horse, much like the Zorro with Tornado set, that he'll be in the gray kind of strip colors, where he's in the gray and black. And of course, we're gonna whenever we can, we will delve back in and do, you know, red, blue, green, and stuff. But we're gonna kind of save those for when we need them, and when they kind of make sense for us to put out another version of the same Phantom. So that, I mean, that's kind of our plan for, you know, for you'll probably see a recolor of Phantom and Julie pretty quickly, but, you know, like I said, we're saving them for when we need them and when they make sense.
Phantom typically has a lot of detail work in him. So he's got those super detailed rings, the super detailed belt buckle, lots of detailed accessories. Fred, can you talk a little bit about how you've incorporated those into the sculpts and what fans can expect there?
We tried to put as much detail as we can, but, you know, it's a ring in a fist is pretty small, but the details there, all the skull logos there, the pirate logos there and stuff, and hopefully it all shows up in the production. I'm
floored by the detail in the rings and the belt buckle. I'll be crushed if they don't come out. Yeah.
All right, and we're getting lots of requests for various versions of Phantom. We've got requests for Gayblade and Billy Zane Phantom and a few others. Do you want to talk about what your plans are and how you're going to work across all the different ones?
Sure. We're still trying to figure out if our rights extend to the 2040 and Billy Zane movie. For the record, the Billy Zane movie is one of my favorite superhero movies ever. So I still love it, and I can still watch it with the same awe that I did when it first came out. And but, you know, as far as the other version, like the previous version of Phantoms, that's kind of, I have this kind of idea in my head that, you know what they used to do in the 90s with Batman, with all the weird Batmans, like that Phantom has that built into his story already, like organically. It's not like forced by a toy company. Like, so for instance, when Wave 2 comes, we're going to be kicking off with the 11th Phantom from the 1700s as a character. So he'll be a little bit pirate-ish themed, like swashbucklery, I think that's a word. And his compatriot, the second figure in the wave, will be one of the Sing pirates. who will come with multiple heads and gear, so you could buy two and make two different pirates with him. So the Sing Pirates are kind of the Phantom's ongoing generational foil. They're the ones who create the first Phantom, who are responsible for the first Phantom taking his oath against crime and pirates and all that stuff. So the Sing Pirates were kind of our first villain that we'll be delving into with the Phantom, and they, so we're going to be kind of jumping around what Phantom we're not going to be doing them in order like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we will be jumping around and doing different versions of the Phantom, because it's fun visually to kind of play with his look, to put him in the time period, give him the right type of guns, and whether he has a sword or a cape or all these different variations of him. But also it's such a key part of his story and him conceptually that we really want to play with that.
And I think you might have just broken the feed saying pirates, because people are losing their minds on pirates.
Well, as anybody who follows Boss Fight knows that I am a huge pirate fan in general, so the pirates are going to be really fun.
I want to make sure we also touch on Tarzan, which is the 4th brand that's going to be under Hero H.A.C.K.S. And I know we haven't shared a ton of information here. So what is the inspiration that you're using for Tarzan, Erik, and what can fans expect?
Well, there's so many variations of Tarzan. There's, the old movies, there's the old TV shows, there's the radio shows, there's the, of course, the Disney cartoon, all of that stuff. And all of that touches on different aspects of Tarzan, really. But our primary inspiration, where we are pulling from, are the original Edgar Rice Burroughs novels. We're specifically pulling from those. So our first version of Tarzan is a very classic looking Tarzan. Again, kind of like Zorro, we really wanted to kind of tie up when somebody says Tarzan, what do you see in your mind? It may not be a specific actor or something like that, but there's a specific look that Tarzan has always had classically. So we wanted to kind of tap into that. So the first wave is Tarzan and Jane, and it's kind of a later version of Jane after she comes back from the Americas and lives in the jungle with Tarzan, and she's kind of becomes just as kind of skilled as he is at going tree to tree and all that stuff. So she's like in kind of rags and has like a knife, and but she's our version of Tarzan is in the early 1800s when he was actually intended to be. This isn't a modernization of him or anything like that. So her hairstyle is very much a product of the time of hairstyles at that in the early 1800s. Tarzan is very classically, and he's got the long hair, he's ripped, he's got the loincloth and a spear. So we're kind of trying to play into that, and became a big Edgar Rice. I've been a big Edgar Rice Burroughs fan for a long time. So those books are amazing, and they're kind of very close to my heart to play with and be into.
You've definitely peaked. I see tons of questions here, specifically about future inspiration. So one is villains with Tarzan. Can we expect any of the villains?
As the line goes on, we'll be digging around. Wave 2, for instance, features La of Opar, the High Priestess of the Sun. And she's kind of both a villain and a paramour to Tarzan. She's kind of this recurring character in the novels that she's gorgeous, and she's this priestess and leader of this jungle society, and she wears all this gold ornate gear and stuff like that, and she's just amazing, and she visually she's just this fantastic character for us to do, and she's gonna make such a cool looking figure. Wave 2, of course, will also feature a different version of Tarzan, the Lord of the Jungle. He'll have a couple of new pieces, a couple of new parts, and he'll be decoed differently. We of course always have to kind of focus on the main characters, but as far as characters that we have access to. It's a lot of the early book characters, and like characters like Clayton in the book are very different than Clayton in like, say, the Disney version of Clayton that a lot of people know. Like, Clayton in the book is actually related to Tarzan, and even though he's kind of he's another love interest for Jane, he's not really a bad guy at the same time. So some of this stuff we'll definitely be looking at a lot of that stuff, a lot of those characters around him. Korak, Jane, and Tarzan's son would be probably another one that we'd like to touch on at some point.
And Fred, we're getting a lot of questions about, are we seeing new sculpts with Phantom and Tarzan specifically? Do you want to jump in and talk about how you approach those characters?
With Phantom and Tarzan, they're very close to our Meredith H.A.C.K.S figures, which are basically a naked body. So we're using a lot of those figures with new heads, new parts, new boots for Phantom, new hands, of course. So they'll share those parts and still be interchangeable with everything else we've done.
And we're also getting a ton of questions around animals with Tarzan, Erik. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I'll touch on it, but I don't really have any news about it other than we really want to do them. Like, we're all fans of animals. We're not monsters, but the horses have done very well. We would love to do, how cool would a big silverback gorilla or a lion or a cheetah be for, to go with Tarzan, and just for you to have in your collection, like as a cool, super articulated figure. So, it's definitely something we're trying to figure out where it'll go and how. It really depends on how well the figure with steeds sell, and of course the mighty steeds sell, to see whether there's a big enough audience for it.
I should add that keep in mind that the initial sales, the pre-orders, those have a direct effect on how much money and time we can put into later development. So something like an all-new animal sculpt, whatever it might be, that is really, really intensive to develop. I mean, Fred, you spent how long sculpting the Mighty Steeds?
Oh, at least over a year.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about horse anatomy, so I'd learned that first. I spent like about 6 months learning that, then actually sculpting it. So it took a while.
Yeah. So keep in mind, yes, we absolutely want to do this, but the sales will affect our ability to do that. So if you want to see the really cool, really involved stuff down the line, you gotta be in there with the early pre-orders. That it absolutely affects it.
So we also have a question here, Erik. Are we ever going to see Jane Porter before the Jungle, since you mentioned that she was kind of after the Jungle version?
I do. It's not something I'm ready to reveal yet, but I do have plans for Lord and Lady Greystoke. So it won't always be loincloths and spears. Sometimes it might be fancy dress.
So we're getting some questions. Are any other brands going to be joining into the Hero H.A.C.K.S line? Do you guys have future plans for it? Do you want to talk about that?
Hero H.A.C.K.S is, we intend it to be this umbrella for anything that makes sense in terms of licenses in the 4-inch H.A.C.K.S format. So we're not closed off to possibly adding other licenses to that in the future, but there's nothing we can talk about yet.
I'm going to circle back to a couple other questions that I saw come in. Erik, do we have plans for a Phantom lunchbox?
I have no concrete plans for a Phantom lunchbox yet, but our lunchbox program has been doing very, very well for us. So it wouldn't surprise me if we put our heads together and put something forth. I would love to do it. I love our lunchboxes. I think they're so fun, and it's such a great way to put out some like random kind of tweak and variation to something to get out there into people's hands.
And it looks like people are super excited because we're also getting, how about a Tarzan lunchbox?
Again, it's the same thing. I'm all for it. Again, like everything, while we launched Flash with the lunchbox, we felt that was the right thing to do. Some of these other brands, we need to kind of see how pre-sales go. But yeah, we would love to do it. I mean, I want to do it for everything, for all of our brands if we can. So
we really enjoy doing the lunch boxes. They're a really special item. It allows us to do something that's a little different, to sort of to flex our design muscles and use it sort of a different canvas, and it looks great in your display, and also very handy storage for all of your figure parts.
And we always have a lot of figure parts.
So there was a question here about the comic Flash, Andrew. Mm-hmm. Is there going to be a second head without the headgear?
Not on the initial figure, but that's something we might see later.
And we're getting lots of questions around what each of you has as your favorite hero hack. So maybe, Andrew, do you want to start? What's your favorite from the line?
Ooh, it's a tough choice. There's so much great stuff in Flash Gordon. I'm really excited about that movie Guard with the gas mask. That dude is really cool. So I think he's going to be pretty great. Pretty amazing.
He's a fun army builder too. So
yeah,
like 3 or 4 of him like flanking Ming.
And you can supply your own like weird squealing pig sounds when they get shot.
Fred, how about you? What's your favorite from the upcoming Hero H.A.C.K.S line?
I think movie Baron. I think he's turned out pretty good.
That Baron has so much detail in his like shirt.
Oh.
It's so nice.
Well, and Erik, what's your favorite?
I grew, my father's from South America, and he was a huge Phantom and Mandrake fan as a kid. So I kind of grew up hearing, stories about, I was super into comic books and stuff, and my dad would always talk to me about the Phantom and Mandrake and all that stuff. So I read the Phantom all the time, like every day in the comic section of the paper. So for me, it's bringing Phantom to life is kind of one of my like childhood dreams, to be able to do that. So it's definitely the Phantom.
We talked a lot about the intricate detail involved in some of these. We talked about the Flash Gordon and the Zorro and Phantom and Tarzan details. But Fred, you've had a hand in shaping all of these as you sculpted each one of these. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of the hardest one that you approached and what you worked with on that?
I think in general, the hardest one has to be in the movie Flash Gordon line, because the movie costumes are so intricate with their sequins and their details and their beads. It's been a challenge just to translate them to into 3D and plus to a small scale, like 4-inch. So I'm hoping it all shows up as well. It's definitely been not easy.
There's a lot of problem solving necessary when you're sculpting like those intricate beaded textures and stuff. And Fred and Tony have done a really good job on stuff like all of the textures on Ming, and it's very cool, and I think it'll look great in production.
So we have a lot of questions around when are all of these coming up for pre-order. Do you guys want to tease a little bit what else to expect over the next couple weeks?
So I would say set an alarm for Thursdays over the next 3 weeks. So we'll be going, each brand will be, launching off on a Thursday for pre-orders. Keep in mind that none of these are on the same schedule. So if you want to wait until the end of the month and put in a pre-order for all of them to save on shipping, that that's absolutely understandable. But we won't be able to ship your order then until all of it gets in. And whereas like Zorro and the first Flash items are on a truncated schedule, Phantom and Tarzan are probably a few months behind. So, if you're like any of us and very impatient about getting and opening and playing with your toys, you may not want to put them all in one order.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't want a long wait, because the way our store works, we can't really separate orders. And so the best thing to do is to order each group of each brand separately each week. That'll ensure you get your toys in the most timely fashion that we can.
We're getting questions about the order. So it's kind of the order that we covered tonight. So we have Zorro now for this week, Flash next week, Phantom the following week, and then Tarzan is the last week. And Erik, I know we purposely picked the 27th for Tarzan. Do you want to talk a little bit about why that is?
The 27th is Tarzan Day, so there'll be kind of a celebration online. If you don't follow the Edgar Rice Burroughs Facebook page and stuff, you should. They're always doing something, and they will be celebrating Tarzan Day on that day. Also, if you've never read the Tarzan novels, the Edgar Rice Burroughs team has put together an amazing re-release hardcovers of all the original Edgar Rice Burroughs written Tarzan books with beautiful Dave Dorman covers. Like, they're just gorgeous. New art for each book. And Katrina, my wife, one of the partners at Boss Fight Studio, I almost said Toy Biz. That's weird. I've never even worked for them. At Boss Fight Studio, for Christmas, she ordered me the first 3 novels with these gorgeous new covers, and the second 3 are up for pre-order now. So I strongly recommend them, and I recommend reading them because Edgar Rice Burroughs was seriously ahead of his time when it comes to not just fiction but science fiction, and that's kind of Tarzan crosses in and out of science fiction, even though it doesn't seem like it would.
So I want to thank everybody. I want to be aware of everybody's time tonight. I know we've covered a lot of ground. Thank you, Fred, Erik, and Andrew, for sharing all of your knowledge here. And definitely keep watching the Boss Fight social channels over the next couple weeks. As we said, there's going to be a lot of reveals. We're going to drop new photos, new artwork, things like that. Everything that we can share with you guys about the upcoming lines, we will be sharing it over the next couple weeks. So keep questions coming. We get to as many as we can as we post those photos and things. So thank you everybody for participating in Hero Hacks Month, and we're really excited to share all of this. So keep watching, and we'll talk with you soon. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.